Hello, my name is Andrew. Welcome to an interpretation of the Tao Te Ching. In this video, we will be discussing Chapter 2. I will read the entire chapter first, then address each of the sections of the chapter in order. When people see things as beautiful, ugliness is created. When people see things as good, evil is created. Being and non-being produce each other. Difficult and easy complement each other. Long and short define each other. High and low oppose each other. Fore and aft follow each other. Therefore, the master can act without doing anything, and teach without saying a word. Things come her way and she does not stop them. Things leave and she lets them go. She has without possessing, and acts without any expectations. When her work is done, she takes no credit. That is why it will last forever. This chapter deals with opposites and seemingly some contradictions. Chapter 2 stands apart from Chapter 1. It leaves the concepts from Chapter 1 behind, though you need Chapter 1 to understand Chapter 2. Words and their meanings play a role in Chapter 2. It gets into the true nature of the words that we use. Let's look at Section 1. When people see things as beautiful, ugliness is created. When people see things as good, evil is created. While some may see these two statements as counterintuitive, they make a lot of sense when you think more deeply about them. Beauty and ugliness are opinions. Not only that, but they are relative to each other. What is beauty? It cannot be defined without a concept of something that is not beautiful, that is, ugly. Therefore, beauty and ugliness have to coexist because they are relative to each other. To say that everything is beautiful is impossible. Beauty is relative. There cannot be beauty without something to compare it to that is not beautiful. You cannot understand beauty without also understanding what ugliness is. The same is true with good and evil. They are opinions that are relative to each other. By seeing something as good, it must be in relation to something that is evil. Good cannot exist without something to compare it with. Granted, there are widely accepted opinions about what is considered good or evil, beautiful or ugly. Hitler is widely considered to have been evil. Roses are widely considered beautiful. While they may be popular opinions, they remain opinions. Even a unanimous opinion is just an opinion. Not only that, they are relative. To some, in comparison, a rose is ugly compared to an orchid, for example. When looking for facts, things just are. A rose is a rose. Looking back on Chapter 1, when you see a rose for what it really is, you know that it just is. That is part of the mystery that is a rose. People are just people. Good or evil is just a label that we place on people, and sometimes objects. Those labels come from us, not whatever we are placing the label on. It is not part of what makes a rose a rose. Section 2 takes things a step further. Being and non-being produce each other. Difficult and easy complement each other. Long and short define each other. High and low oppose each other. Fore and aft follow each other. This section takes the relativeness of different concepts to the next step. Being and non-being, though they are not opinions, are in fact relative to each other. How can you know when something exists if you do not know what non-existence means? Likewise, how can you know what non-being is without knowing what being is? They produce each other. One cannot have an understanding of one without knowing the other. Difficult and easy complementing each other is pretty obvious. One thing is only difficult relative to something that is easy. That thing may be easy compared to something else. Riding a bike is easier than driving a car. Driving a car is easier than riding a motorcycle. You cannot say something is difficult without a reference to something that is easier than that thing that is difficult. Long and short defining each other is also a gimme. Long, relative to what? Short, same thing. These are both opinion and objective facts. Something is objectively longer than something that is shorter. That is not a matter of opinion. They define each other because you cannot have one without the other to define it. High opposes low. Again, these can be both opinion and objective facts. A step stool is high for someone who is afraid of heights, while it is low for someone who likes to fly. Objectively, the step stool is lower than the flying plane, hopefully. Fore and aft are relative and dependent on the direction that you are going. They are part of the same thing, usually referring to a boat or a ship. But a ship that is going in reverse, the fore follows the aft, while going forward, aft follows the fore. They are relative on the same vehicle because something can be fore of one part while being aft of something else. The superstructure of an aircraft carrier is to the fore of the stern while it is aft of the bow. So this is a relative placement. So what can we do with this understanding? Let's see what section 3 has to say. Therefore, the master can act without doing anything and teach without saying a word. Things come her way and she does not stop them. Things leave and she lets them go. She has without possessing and acts without any expectations. When her work is done, she takes no credit. That is why it will last forever. Okay, parts of this section seem, at first glance, to be a little nonsensical. This is far from the truth. With many passages, you have to really get into them to get the meaning. This is the first real example of this in the book. There will be more to come. Having a master act without doing anything or teaching without saying a word seems like an impossibility. By allowing things to happen naturally, the master seems to act without doing anything. In many cases, the master can set things in motion and have them naturally fulfill her desires. A complex result can therefore be accomplished with minimal to no action. It takes a master's understanding of the nature of things to allow this to happen. A fool, one would argue, forces things to happen. Teaching is the same way. Lead students to experiences that teach the student naturally. Little or no words are necessary from the master. This, of course, requires some desire to learn and insight from the student to learn from this method, but it is a valid method of teaching. It is the wisdom of the master that selects the experiences that would be most beneficial to the student. They must understand the nature of not only the student, but also the nature of the lesson they are trying to impart. The master is also accepting of things coming and going in her life. She has all that she needs without possessing, because she does not become attached to people or things. People and things come into her life and she accepts them as the natural progression of life. Likewise, people and things leave her life and she accepts that they should leave. It is natural for things to come and go from your life. You may have had friends that were once close but are no longer in your life. People have different paths in life. They may interact with you and maybe for some time, but a lot of times the paths diverge at some point. One should not be sad or grieve at the change in states. It is selfish to want to have someone stay in your life when they need to follow their own path. Inanimate objects coming and going in your life is the same way. When the time is right, you will receive the things you want in your life. Some effort may be necessary on your part. Forcing the issue causes stress and problems. Things should naturally happen. Likewise, when something leaves your life, you should not mourn the loss. Becoming attached to an inanimate object is immature and selfish. The master does not become attached to mere things. When the master acts, it is without expectations. That too is a form of attachment. If you get attached to the desired outcome of some action and it does not happen, there is disappointment. The master understands that the natural course of things may change and what happens from what is originally intended. This is the natural course of things, though. It should not be fought. When her work is done, she does not form an attachment to it. She lets it stand on its own. This can also be a form of dwelling on the past. By not taking credit, she lets it go from her life and she continues on her path. Her work endures because she does not force things. By fighting nature, problems occur and work does not last. Work that is in harmony with nature endures. It becomes part of the world and does not dominate or fight against nature. Her work also endures because she is not attached to it. When something is attached to someone, when they pass or move on, their work falls apart. How many businesses have gone under because the founder of the company passed away or moved on to other things? The company and their work were attached to the founder, and they could not sustain themselves without the attachment. A work should be made to continue in the absence of the worker. The master understands that the work should be made to continue. We are all transient. Nature alone endures. The master sees the nature of things and makes their work in harmony with nature, allowing it to endure, if not flourish, in their absence. Well, that about wraps up Chapter 2. We got into some meanings of words, bringing a different way of looking at the words we use every day. It also touched on a bit of how a master behaves. This took a little bit of interpretation, but I think it is a good start to understanding what it means to be a master. I would like to finish by pointing out that these interpretations are my own. I come to these interpretations because of my life experiences and thoughts. You may have a different interpretation of the text. That is wonderful. Form your own thoughts on the passages in these videos. Mine may guide you. You may think they are complete rubbish. That is fine as well. These thoughts are just a starting point. I would like you to share your thoughts in the comments on this video, if you would like.